Once upon a time there was a prince who had a sudden desire to see all that the world had. He took with him only one faithful servant who was his dearest friend. They traveled and saw all the great things that the world had. One evening they came to an enormous forest, and as they didn't have any shelter, they couldn't figure out what to do. As luck would have it, they saw a girl walking toward a little house, and when they came near, he saw that the girl was young and beautiful, but very sad. The prince asked her, "Dear child, can me and my servant find shelter in your house for the night?" The girl looked at him so sullen. "Oh yes, I would certainly give you shelter, but I do not advise you enter." "Why not?" the prince asked. The girl sighed deeply. "My stepmother practices the evil arts, and she does not like strangers." It was then that the prince realized he had come to a witch's house. But because it was dark and he could go no further, he entered anyway. But to his avail, he was not afraid. The old woman sat in an armchair, looking at the strangers with red, glowing eyes. "Good evening," she croaked, pretending to be quite friendly. "Sit and rest." She blew into the coals, which she was cooking something in a small pot. The daughter was so cautious. She went over to the prince and whispered, "Do not eat anything, do not drink, for she will brew evil drinks." They slept soundly until early morning. While they were getting ready to leave, the prince had already mounted his horse. The old woman said, "Wait a moment, let me give you a farewell drink." While she was getting it, the prince rode away as quickly as he could. The servant, who had to tighten his saddle, was there alone when the wicked witch came with the drink. "Take this to your master," she said. But that instant the glass broke and the poison spilled upon the servant's horse. It was so strong the animal immediately fell down dead. The servant ran away and told his master all that had happened. However, he did not want to abandon his saddle, so he ran back to get it. When he reached the dead horse, a raven was already sitting on it, eating it. "Who knows if we shall find anything better today," said the servant. So he killed the raven and took it with him. They wandered in the woods the whole day, but could not find their way out. As night fell, they found an inn and went inside. The servant gave the raven to the innkeeper to prepare for supper. Now they had stumbled into a den of murderers. 12 murderers arrived in the dark, intending to kill the stranger and rob him, but before doing so, they sat down to sup, when the innkeeper and the witch sat down with them. Together, they ate a dish of soup which they had made out of the raven. They had secretly swallowed a few bites when they fell down dead, for the raven had passed on to them the poison from the horse meat. And now, there was no one left in the house but the innkeeper's daughter. She meant well and had not taken part in the godless deeds, so she opened the doors to the strangers and showed them piles of treasure. However, the prince said that she should keep everything. He wanted none of it, and with the servant he rode away. After traveling about for a long time, they came to a town where there was a beautiful but proud princess. She had made it known that she would marry any man who could ask her a riddle that she could not solve. However, if she was to solve it, his head would be cut off. She had 3 days to think of it, but it was so clever that she had always solved the riddle that she had been given by the deadline. When the prince arrived, 9 men had already died in this manner. However, he was blinded by her great beauty, and was willing to risk his life for it. He went before her and asked her this riddle. "What is this?" he said. "One killed none, but still killed 12. The princess was baffled. She didn't know what it was. She thought and she thought, but could not solve it. She opened her riddle books, but it was not there. In short, her wisdom was at an end. Not knowing how to help herself, she ordered her maid to sneak to the prince's bedroom. There the maid was to listen to his dreams, for the princess thought he would perhaps talk in his sleep and reveal the riddle. However, the prince's clever servant had placed himself in the bed instead of his master, And when the maid came in, he ripped off the robe she had covered herself with, a green robe, and then chased her out with a bundle of switches. The second night, the princess went to her chambermaid and asked her to see if she could be more successful in listening. But the wise servant had to once again traded places with his master, and then chased her out with a bundle of switches. On the third night, the master now believed that he would be safe for the third, and lay down in his own bed. This time the princess herself, in a gray mist robe, and sat down next to him. When she thought that she was asleep and dreaming, she spoke to him, hoping he would answer in his sleep, like many do. However, he was still awake and understood and heard everything very well. Then she asked, "One killed none. What is it?" He answered, "A raven that ate from a dead and poisoned horse and died of it." She asked further, "But still killed 12. What is it?" He answered, "Those are 12 murderers who ate the raven and died of it." Now that she knew the riddle, she wanted to sneak away, but he held her robe so fast that she had to leave it behind. The next morning, the princess announced that she had guessed the riddle and sent for the 12 judges and solved it before them. But the youth asked for a hearing, saying, "She sneaked into my room during the night and questioned me. Otherwise she would not have guessed it." The judges said, "Bring us proof." That's when the prince's servant entered with the 3 robes, the 2 green robes of the servants and the mist gray one from the princess. The judges recognized the mist gray one. The head judge stood up. "Have this embroidered with gold and silver, and it will be her wedding robe."